What is decoupling of your property? What are the pros and cons of decoupling? And how do you decouple your property? All these answered in this video. First things first, what is decoupling? In simple terms, if two of you own one property, one party will sell their share of the property to the other so that the remaining owner is the sole proprietor. So couple, decouple. So why would anyone want to do this? Well, decoupling is a strategy used by many couples when they purchase a second property because of this thing called additional buyer stamp duty or ABSD. To explain ABSD, these are the additional rates you have to pay whenever you buy a second property onwards. So you can see for Singaporeans, there is a 17% additional fee you have to pay for your second property, and for PRs, it's 25% compared to 5% for the first property. So in order to avoid that, many couples adopt the decoupling strategy. By transferring ownership of the first property to one person, the other person will have no properties under their name and can thus buy the second property without ABSD. This can be especially appealing for people who want to invest or to expand their real estate portfolio. Secondly, decoupling can increase your loan eligibility. Because one person is no longer on the property, the remaining individual may have a higher income ceiling, which could give them access to better loan amounts from banks or other lenders like HDB. Another financial benefit of decoupling is the potential tax advantages, especially if you plan to sell or rent out your property. When you decouple and become the sole owner, the property might no longer be classified as your primary residence, which could lead to a better rental yield or tax treatment. This means you could optimize rental income or sell the property for profit without worrying about additional taxes that apply to non-owner occupied properties. The remaining owner could also benefit from more favorable tax rules when renting out or selling the property, depending on specific circumstances. Of course, decoupling is not all sunshines and rainbows. Let's go over the cons so that you can understand from both sides. One of the most significant drawbacks of decoupling is the upfront costs involved. There are several fees associated with the process, including stamp duty on the property transfer, which is calculated based on the market value or purchase price of the property, whichever is higher. That rate can be significant, especially if the property price is valued very high. In addition to stamp duty, you will also incur legal fees for drafting the necessary documents, such as the deed of assignment. These costs can quickly add up, so you do have to take them into account. When you decouple, one person will lose ownership of the property. This can be a significant financial and emotional blow, especially if that person has been contributing to the mortgage over the years. So in a way, you have to really trust your spouse if you were to decouple and to transfer full ownership to him or her. And this can be complicated if the price of the two properties are very different. Like for example, if you decouple a HDB in order to buy a condo. The next con is something I like to call the paper responsibility of the property's mortgages. Because after decoupling, both of you hold one property each, you are on paper fully responsible for the mortgage of the property. So if touch wood, both of you separate and one of you is unable to pay the mortgage for the property that you own, there will be a lot of complications down the road. So during the decoupling process, it is very important for you guys to have a very open communication about things like who owns which property, how are you going to handle the mortgages, and even what to do in the event as much as you don't want it, you separate. The next con is the hidden costs of decoupling. There is also costs like maintenance, property taxes, additional mortgages, and potential vacancies if you rent out your new property. Because even if you want to rent out the property, there's a chance that you cannot find tenants. So if you're fully dependent on the rental income to pay for the mortgage, you could be in trouble. Which is why it is very important for you to evaluate your income, savings, and your future earnings when it comes to decoupling and whether you can handle a second property. Decoupling can be an effective way to unlock opportunities for property investment, increase loan eligibility, and offer more flexibility in the property market. However, the process comes with significant costs, emotional stress, and risks, especially if it leads to losing partial ownership of the property or incurring hefty stamp duties and legal fees. Each of the factors must be weighed carefully, considering your financial situation, long-term goals, and relationship dynamics. And of course, decoupling might not be the only way for you to buy a second property. Weigh the pros and cons, and if you think that the cons outweigh the pro, then you can always purchase a second property without decoupling as well. So yup, hopefully this video gave you more information as to whether you should decouple or not. As always, you can always drop me a DM or leave a comment and I'll reach out to you. Thank you for coming to the end of this video. Sending you lots of love. See you in the next one.